Welcome to another episode of Successful Stories from Entrepreneurs. My name is Desmond and I have the pleasure and honor of interviewing multiple successful entrepreneurs from all over the world. I've been very blessed to meet with mentors and have mentors who are billionaires, multimillionaires, fractional billionaires who have opened the doors for me. And that is why on this channel, I interview successful entrepreneurs and introduce them to you. I don't know where you are in your journey. Maybe you're very successful already right now, or maybe you're just getting started. Either way, you want to pay attention all the way to the very end of these videos. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell notification so that you don't miss an episode, because you never know, you might meet one of these entrepreneurs that I will introduce you to that may inspire your journey and your success in the near future. Now today, to begin with, I have a guest. His background comes from very humble beginnings. In fact, I want you to pay very close attention to his story because he comes from one of the poorest places in the world. He had disasters. He had to overcome all sorts of problems. And yet, he is an amazing success today. He is well on his way to impacting the lives of hundreds of thousands of individuals around the world, but it came from very humble beginnings. In fact, he is very passionate about helping the planet. He's very passionate about giving back, being almost the Robin Hood and helping the poor. He's very passionate about saving the environment. And if you're passionate about that, you want to listen all the way to the very end. Now, how you can participate is to comment below. Type your questions because I'm going to have our guest reply to your questions. Perhaps we don't cover everything in this interview and you want to find out more information about what he did and how he solved it, or maybe how you can get involved. And I will give you all those details at the end of the interview. So stick on all the way to the very end. But while we do that, help me to welcome to the show our guest, Rony Delgarde.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Desmond. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. And I'm so excited to meet your team. We see a lot of people here watching this show. I'm very excited. Let's get into it.
You got it, Rony. Now, Rony, I invited you here because I've had the pleasure of working with you through one of my mentors. His name is Dan Locke, and he has an organization, a group, a private members club, an exclusive mastermind called the Dragon 100. And you're a dragon. But it wasn't easy for you to get into Dragon, was it? You had to fight to get in there.
Oh, it's not easy. And the process it takes a long process because they have to look at your financials, your credentials, and how successful your business is before you can join a Dragon. But
correct.
It's part of your story. It's part of your life. If you are an entrepreneur, you know you are there. You are in it for a long one. And there's no shortcut. And that's what they don't look Dragons 100. It's such a wonderful program for us.
I appreciate that, Rony. So Rony, let's start off by first telling the audience, the viewers, a bit about your story, your humble beginnings. Where were you born? How did you grow up? What struggles did you have to deal with in the early parts of your life? And then what we'll do is maybe I want them to understand the journey, the path of what you had to go through, maybe the mentors you had to find, the problems that you had to overcome in your middle part of your life, and then what sparked this inspiration to become an entrepreneur. What was the problem in the marketplace that you saw, and how did you solve it? And then we can go into what the future looks like as well too, for Rony, for the world, and for the company that you run, or the companies that you will run as well too. So start off with, where were you born? Your parents, your upbringing, how did that all start?
Well, Desmond, that's a great question. You may say I have a wonderful accent. I'm originally from Haiti, and a very small town. We grew up with no electricity, no drinking water, no toilet. And the schools, we have to walk from our school about 40 miles from my house to my school. And there's no transportations. And it was a very difficult for me growing up because I didn't know. My parents' house built with mud house. During disasters or rainy season, they destroyed our house. We have to build it. And a lot of time we stay under the tree for a couple of weeks until the weather comes to normal and we can build our house again. It was a very humble beginning. I have no experience in starting business. I didn't have any parents who started business before, but it was a very difficult experience for me. But when I moved to the United States, I landed at Miami International Airport to see all the beautiful buildings are painted with beautiful colors. And that got my curiosity. And I said, well, this is beautiful. And when I grow up, I want to do something to give back to my country, because we don't have those buildings, those many stories, high buildings you see in Miami and New York City and Dubai. Those buildings, we don't have them. So my goal is to give something back, but I have to start somewhere. I get my education, graduate, have my bachelor in business administration. And later on, I want to get my master's and get a master in business administration. And I start working with a company, which is the Avon product. They have the largest supply of supplies for cosmetic product. And I run the operation in Atlanta, Georgia for over 9 years. And the experience I received from running the operations helped me to run my own company, which collecting paint from the United States, protect the environment, and creating a beautiful space for people in need all over the world.
So Ronny, let me pause you there for a second. So let me understand this correctly. Your company, what you do in 30 seconds here, your company, what you guys do is you collect paint, used paint, secondhand paint, leftover paint, and you redistribute that around the world. Is that correct?
Oh yes. And we do, so far we have recycled over 390,000 tons of paint in the U.S.
390,000 tons. Help the viewer or the listener to understand. How many trucks is that? How many buses is that? How many football fields is that? Is there any visual that we can picture?
Well, if you look at the 18-wheelers or trucks,
yes,
18-wheelers or truck can carry up to 700 to 800 buckets of paint. Each bucket of paint has 5 gallons, and a gallon is 11 pounds. A big truck is 38 to 42,000 pounds. So, and pounds. And if you equivalent, you recycle over 300 trucks. 300 trucks.
300 trucks. 300 40-foot semi-containers of paint you've already recycled. And you don't just put this in a landfill. You're not putting this into the oceans. What are you doing with that paint? Where do you send it to?
The thing we do with the paint is amazing. We provide the paint to communities and communities where I grew up who didn't have colors, people who didn't have access to paint. And to be able to provide the paint, to help them paint their homes, paint their classroom, paint their hospitals, their clinics, their churches, uplift the spirit of the people and the communities. There are places we painted. The house that is painted is the only house that painted because people in the region couldn't afford paint to do the job to paint their house. And they become the highlights, the hubs in the city where people connect and socialize. So to be able to do that with a product that used to send away, people used to ship it to the landfills. And we say, no, we're not gonna do that. Let us handle your paint, and then we will make sure that it goes to good use and people who never have access to paint can use it.
Ronny, how did you get started doing this? Because it sounds like such a big monumental project. And I'm really proud of you that you've done this and you're a massive steward in the direction of taking care of this planet. But you must have encountered, rejection, doubt. I'm sure you had self-doubt. Maybe family members or friends or people thought you were crazy. Tell us a bit about that journey. Go back in time a bit. Take us back in time and share with us what happened when you first, started. Where did this idea come from, and then what was the resistance you encountered when you first started? What were the problems you had to solve in order to get this project moving?
That's a huge problem. As you can tell, I have an accent. I remember a good story. I was at a place where the Chamber of Commerce invited me to speak to their audience and to tell them what I was doing, because they so inspired by the idea of recycling paint. And because no one ever done it before, they think this is a huge opportunity for us. And when I arrived there and have an accent, I was nervous. I couldn't speak. I'm not a public speaker, and Haiti school, they don't provide public speaking schools. And I was struggle all my life to be able to express myself in a way the business people can understand. If you don't speak their language, there's no chance for you. And that's when I went there. Desmond, I couldn't even say my name. I was so nervous. My heart was chasing what about to be. I want to find a room where I can hide because I didn't want to get on the stage. When they called me, I said one thing, and the lady was 5 years old there and found out that she didn't understand what I said because I say paint, but I put a S in paint. I say painties. And then she said, well, you said you collect painties? I say, no, I collect paint. But there was a wonderful person in the room saying, no, man, he says paint. He has a French accent. And that's how I was able to speak about the people about what I do. But there was a lot of rejection. There are people who couldn't understand me because I have to make phone calls to connect with people, to connect with local leaders. And I have to go out there and meet people and shake their heads. These are not my skills. I don't have those traits. But that's why they don't look happy to develop those skills, leadership skills, how to meet people, how to talk to people, how to answer questions, how to explain my problem, the problem I try to solve. And I was able to do that with the Don't Look training program. So that's what helped me. And today we are able to close a big deal with Sherwin Williams, with Ben Benjamin Moore, which are multi-billion-dollar company. And you have only 2-3 seconds sometimes to convince them that you can do the job. And they have a huge amount of paint. They are, let's say, for example, Desmond, if Sherwin Williams was manufacturing paint for last year to meet the demands of paint of this year, if EPA, the environmental regulations, put a law, they said, well, you cannot continue to sell this product to our market. What do you think Sherwin Williams will do with that paint?
It gets in the industry we call it crush, or it gets disposed of, right? And it just goes into the landfills, I guess. You have to take a industrial, garbage removal company to take care of that waste disposal.
And the paint is so bad for the environment. Three things that can happen to the paint if it goes to the environment. It will end up in our foods and our vegetables and our drinking water. You don't want to see that. You have to create. I mean, 2.5 billion people, Desmond, cannot afford a gallon of paint. That costs $35 in Canada and the US.
Wow.
They make $1 a day. And some places people make less. They cannot afford that paint. And we're gonna throw it away.
So let me see what you did here. You took your story and you saw as an entrepreneur, because this is what we do. We find problems and we solve problems in the marketplace. So you, from your background, saw this colorless world, and probably it opened your mind to other societies around the world, other communities that may have no color, not be able to afford it. That was one problem, and how to bring cheer and joy and uplift in their life. On the other hand, living in the United States, you saw massive conglomerates, multinational, industries, especially the paint industry, that they would produce, and there's always going to be some sort of runoff, some sort of spill off, some sort of waste. And you combine that by solving their problem, because if they had waste, they needed to dispose of it, ecologically and responsibly, right? And so you solved a major problem for major billion-dollar corporations. And in doing that, you matched the two together. That's how you came up with your company, correct?
Correct. You say it exactly. Imagine, Desmond, 100 million gallons of paint go to waste every year. Wow. 100 million gallons of paint. And the construction, every time you walk to a construction site, the painting is the last project. It's the last project done. And a lot of times they don't have enough time to, even if the construction managers decided to buy enough paint or buy less paint, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to buy more paint to finish the projects. And a lot of time they end up with more paint. Correct.
They over budget. They'll buy more than they need so that they can just go fast, and then they'll always be, they budget in that there'll be waste, but then what happens to that leftover, that waste, correct?
Yes, and people who cannot afford it, now they have a brand new product, usually brand new product. from Sherwin-Williams, from PPG, from Benjamin Moore, all the major paint manufacturers. Brand new product they can use to change their lives. And it's not only that, right here in the United States, 40 cities have received paint. For seniors or people who live on Social Security cannot afford a gallon of paint. It's not only developing countries who cannot afford paint. Right here, we're dealing with a problem. We receive ton applications from local residents in the U.S. People request for paint for community and needs, so they can beautify. And we do murals projects outside where people can express their feelings, their emotions, doing violence we see in the Black community, where the paint is such a tool people use to express themselves.
Correct. If done correctly in reform programs or helping the youth to put their creative talents and get them off the streets, but put them towards beautifying we see this sometimes in the inner cities where there's a lot of vandalism and a lot of street and gangs, and what they do is they help these kids get away from those gangs by putting them to work, giving them something to do to express their talent and creative ability, by getting them to actually make the community beautiful and something that they feel they own, that they put the time into. Now, Rony, I want to quickly shift gears here for a second because your story is amazing. You're an entrepreneur. Now, if I'm a viewer and I'm watching this and I'm just getting started, what are some of the life lessons, the business lessons that you've learned along the way? You alluded a bit to one of the problems that you had to overcome, and that was communication. And you also presented, I don't know if the viewers picked up on it, but you were one of the reasons why we share a mutual mentor as well, Dan Locke. He taught you a lot of communication skills, speaking to strangers. So that was one of the things you had to overcome as an entrepreneur. What were some of the other skills and things that you had to learn in order to get to where you are? Maybe raising funds? Is it leadership and learning how to pull a team together? Do you do this all yourself, or how big is your company now?
The company is we're going to have a $2 million revenue company. We start from nothing, from zero, and this is with the contribution with the Don't Look training. But what we focus, I always tell entrepreneurs, the first you must have an idea, you must have a passion. I sell paint, P for passion. Whatever you believe in, that's what you have to go after. I know myself, I grew up in a country where we didn't have product, but we didn't have color, but I love color. I love paint. And I think paint can be the tools I use to really give back to the communities and bring the change that I want to see in the world. And you see, A stands for association. Will you associate yourself? That's when you come to what organization that can help you. You need coaching, you need mentors, because a lot of things I didn't know. I didn't even know what 501c3 is, which is a code number that you use to register for your organization. The first time I spoke to a lady who told me I need a 501c3, and a conversation I had with her, I wrote the number down. When I got home, Desmond, you won't believe what I did. I collect all numbers with 501c3 and try to reach somebody.
You telephoned. You thought it was a telephone number.
I said 800-50163 to a point where I couldn't reach anybody. And when I called her, I said, well, you must have given me a wrong number, because instead of having all the 9 numbers, I have 8 numbers. Maybe I make a mistake. She said, what number did you have? I said, well, I put 800-50163. She said, no, that was not a phone number. That's a number to register your company with the tax number. So you have to associate yourself with the right people, get the right legal team, get the right people in communications. Idea. We all have good ideas, but make sure that your idea is going to solve the problem that you are passionate about. Because a lot of the time, like you said, Desmond, you're not gonna get paid for what you do. When we start our program, we start as a non-profit organization. We have no funding, and we cannot ask for our money because nobody didn't know who we are as an organization. But with persistence, know you believe in your idea, you're gonna go out there and make it happen.
So Rony, when you first got started, I mean, you weren't printing money. How did you survive? How did you pay the bills? How did you keep the lights on? How did you rent or pay your mortgage or pay your car bills? And when you first got started in the business? How did you fund that?
Well, Desmond, this is a wonderful question. So, as you know, I come to the United States with $5 in my pocket. After I graduate from college, I work for a wonderful company called Avon Distribution Center. And later on, I figured out I was not happy, and I want to give back. I want to solve the problem that I feel that need to be solved in the world. But I just didn't know, because I don't have the skills about starting a business. I don't have my parents who were a business owner. So it was very difficult for me. But I created a program, an acronym called PAINT. First, if you are an entrepreneur, you have to have passions. Passion is what's going to help you wake up every day and to go there and do the business, because you have to solve problems. And if you don't have the passion, you won't be able to be successful. And associate yourself with the right people. And that's why I joined a group like Desmond and Don't Look. It's so helpful because they help you with the communication. My communication was terrible. My networking was terrible. I don't know how to network with people. And that was a very difficult skills. But a program like that will help you, put you in a very difficult situation to understand yourself. And that's how you will be able to meet the needs of your customers. Ideas are very wonderful. If you don't have great ideas, you don't know where you are going, because your idea is your map. And if you believe in your ideas, it will take you far. And needs. I know I need to take care of myself. I need money. At that time, like I said, we didn't have Uber, we didn't have Lyft. There are so many jobs that created in the technology. I don't have technology skills. I'm a very illiterate about when it comes to technology with using computers. But what I try to create anything that I can find to get jobs. But people, when they heard about my idea, other people introduced me based on the association. You introduced me to wonderful entrepreneurs. These are the things that creating the magic for me. And I couldn't do it by myself. And I know the needs. People need the paint. People need the product. And people have paint in their basement. Companies have paint they cannot get rid of. We can solve the problem, but I cannot do it by myself. I'm just one man. I cannot drive a big truck, 18-wheeler trucks. I don't have the license. So we need people, we need to pay people to drive the truck, pick it up, pick the paint from one location and put it on the oceans where we can ship it to Africa, to Central America, to the Caribbean. We need people to do that. And that's why it's important. And team, having a great team, this is one of my biggest challenge, to create a team that can meet all these needs. But I didn't have money to do it. But having wonderful people, wonderful organization, having an association that I can believe, who people can trust me and I can trust them. My peer who give me advice and see how they solve big problems, help me to solve my own problems.
Rony, I love your acronym PAINT, P-A-I-N-T. In fact, if you just heard that, I would encourage you, if you're watching this, to rewind a bit and re-listen to that and take that into context, into what you're doing. If you're the viewer, the listener, and you're listening to this right now, take that and put into context of your project, your venture, your idea, and use Rony's acronym and apply it in getting you along your journey. Rony, I want to ask another question as well. How big has your team grown to right now?
Our team went from before COVID, we had Telly in our team. Now we have 15 people. But 15. Our goals after this session with working with you, and we will look at the skill we need, because a lot of time we were having people all over the place, but there's no structure. There's no a format that we put in place that we follow.
What are you looking for? What are you looking for in the marketplace? You know, there may be a viewer watching this who's passionate about the project that you're doing, and maybe they're trying to get started right now, but maybe they want to be apprenticed or mentored by you. Maybe they can add value to your company. What are you looking for in the marketplace? What sort of individual, what kind of skills or talents are you looking for?
Well, as us, Desmond, this is a great question. I had a very humble beginner. I want people who want to learn, people who have a passion to help other people, people who have a passion for color. Of course, we are in the color business. We are We want people who are very creative, who have creative mind, who understand how to solve problems, not only here in the United States or in Canada, but in other countries in Central America and the Caribbean and Asia, where we have our operations. So somebody who have that experience in technology, because there are tools that we need to facilitate our operations. So from collecting the paint, we actually have a system with blockchain technology that we implemented, where we can track in real time from the time we collect a gallon of paint to the time we ship it and use it on a country where there's no electricity, where you can use your iPad. And we have to report that in real time, so people who donate the paint can see the actual gallon of paint, what it's doing in the community. So we have a lot of positions available on our website. If somebody is interested, they can visit www.globalpaints.org and go to career. You'll see some of the positions. We would love to have you on our team. And I would love to work with me, because I meet my team every day. They surprise sometimes. I show up and work with them and have people like you, Don Luke, Desmond, and leadership that are valuable to meet them and work with them and meet their challenge.
Rony, I appreciate that. In fact, the viewer, you're watching this. If this is resonating with you, you feel that you've got a talent or a skill or something that you can do, maybe an introduction, a referral to Rony, I'm going to be putting his contact details in the description below. And you can also ask questions in the questions. I will be directing it to Rony so that he can personally reply directly back to you. So do engage. If you feel that you can add value in some way, whether it's just offering your services or maybe your connections, your introductions, perhaps you want to do a donation to his nonprofit organization, I will put all the contact details below, and I'll make sure that you can get in touch with Rony as well. Rony, I appreciate you sharing that. Now, Rony, I get questions from the audience all the time, and this is the question that they always get. Where did you find the motivation, the drive, when you did not feel like it? There must have been mornings when you were tired, exhausted, or perhaps even disappointed. You had you hit brick wall after brick wall after brick wall, and there must have been some mornings when you yourself even wondered, am I doing the right thing? Should I continue doing this? Where did you get that drive, that fire, that passion to keep on going, to get to the level that you're at?
Desmond, this is a great question. I will share a story with you. This particular, there are so many ways I've been trying to push myself, because I'm a very I'm my most competitor, because even sometimes we win awards, we have our brands in so many places. I was the first person in my family to have my picture at the Times Square in New York City. That's huge. But for me, I'm always underdog. I always want to do more. I always said, well, I'm not measuring myself. But there's a letter I received 2 years ago from a 5th grade student, 200 student on the elementary school. They stopped. I will share that letter with you, because I always have that letter with me. And they save their food, their lunch money, their ice cream money, and they sent me a check for $250. That's $1 they skip on a day of their lunch. I mean, some of them stop everything their parents give them to save that dollar, and they send me the check with that letter. Every time I wake up, I look at that letter. It reminded me that, Rony, these kids, they're gonna be CEO in a company one day. Today, they see me as a role model. They see me, what I'm doing, it's inspiring, it's motivating. I cannot stop. If I stop today, I disappointed them. I carry that letter all the time on me, because there's day I wake up, I have to study, I have to learn, I have to do so many things, phone calls and people, meetings every day, travel everywhere. And I'd say I couldn't do it. I don't have the skills. There are places, even to do this interview with you, Desmond, I'm nervous because this is not me. But I have to push myself every day, because I don't want to disappoint those kids who trust me, not only with their money, with their heart, but with their money, their lunch money. And they will remember that every day. So I don't want to disappoint them.
You're an amazing leader, Rony. I'm so proud to have you on the show here as well too. So as we tie this up together and we bring an end to this first episode, by the way, audience, if you are enjoying this episode and you'd like me to bring Rony on for a second part to tell the journey, the vision, where he's going, maybe share some of the life lessons he's encountered that you could possibly implement and you too can get results and touch the world like he's doing currently right now, let me know in the comments below. Let me know, say, I want Rony back, right? Just say, type in the chat, I want Rony back in the comments below, and we will get Rony booked in for another episode. But Rony, before we wrap it up here, I want you to go back in time. Maybe close your eyes for a second and picture a younger Rony, whether it's 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. What are the life lessons that you've learned that you would like to impart to that younger Rony? And in doing that, you're probably also speaking to the entrepreneur that's watching this, the visionary, the disruptor, the future leader that's watching this video. What message do you want to send to that person?
Oh, this is a great question. Humble, humility. Humility was one of the things that I can look back. My parents were tough on us. Even we didn't have much, but they tough on us. And I look at today, to be an entrepreneur, to be a good leader, you have to be able to take responsibility and to know that when something wrong, it's gonna come down to you. Are you that kind of leader that's gonna let go, that's gonna let slide? Or when someone gave me a small opportunity, to me, it's a huge opportunity, because there are million people or many people who didn't make it this morning. They didn't make it because they're not unfortunate. Because the time they have to go. Every time you wake up, you have to remember that you have a chance to make a difference. And being a child, my parents implement on us respect, humility, and work hard. If you work hard, people can look at you. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to work in an industry where color is a global communication. Everywhere you go, color is color, red is red. The sounds and language could be different, but red is red, yellow is yellow, white is white. But I don't need to speak a certain way to tell people, well, this is a red color. People will appreciate that. But still, I have to learn, I have to read, I have to receive books. I receive books from you, books from Don't Look. I purchase books to read, and these are helping me to be the leader that I want to be. And if I look back, oh my goodness, I can say I'm so blessed, because I make decision to associate myself with wonderful leaders.
That is fantastic, Rony. It is such a pleasure and honor to have you on this show. In fact, if you want to check out some of the other episodes, click the I button up here. I will put up a playlist of other interviews that we've done. Once again, type in the chat, say, I want Rony back. We'll get him to come back and tell his story. Rony, last sentence here. What is the vision for globalpaint.org? What is the 1-year vision, the 3-year vision, the 10-year vision? Where are you taking it?
Well, this is a good question. I'm very excited. I don't like to make plans, but I know that's part of my assignment with Dunlop, to always look at what we're going to do tomorrow, what we are going to do next month, what we are going to do next quarter, next year. And my next plan is to really have our own global print product in the market, because we have many requests to help so many companies. And that's my goal. And also be able in a position to help many entrepreneurs. Many people who come who have similar background, like myself, who come from humble beginning, but who don't have any leadership skills. The market judges them because they are afraid they cannot speak the language and they cannot ask for money. The bank will not lend them money because they don't have established credit. There are so many other issues that are overcome that I can share with other people. And I think in the next 5 years, I will grow my business and build myself, because I've become a totally different person than I was before. And that helped my company, but I want to help more people as well.
Wonderful. We hope that we can support you in your endeavors to help you help other people. And for those watching the show, thank you for joining us. Go ahead and watch the next video here, and we hope to see you in the next episode.